Greetings. This is the one you've known as Jesus the Christ. This is part 3 of chapter 1 of my book, Awakening Love. Loving yourself is not a selfish thing. The love of your divine nature is not about you at all, for the false self disappears in this kind of love. The false self dissolves, and all that remains is love. Loving yourself means loving the goodness, Godness within you, and that's easy to do. It's even easy to love or at least have compassion for the false self when you aren't caught up in it. When you're in touch with the love of your divine nature, love flows from you to everything. You feel connected to everything that your love is touching. You experience yourself as nowhere and everywhere, and you and what you're loving are felt to be one and the same. You experience a unity with life, with no separate you that is experiencing this. This is the ultimate experience, and you all have had it or can have it to one extent or another. When you're connected to your divine self, who or what you're loving becomes irrelevant, because the experience of loving is so fulfilling. When you're experiencing the love of your divine self, all boundaries disappear, and you naturally love your neighbor, and that love will be pure and unconditional. When you're aligned with your divine self, you are aligned with God and with the whole. From there, you'll receive your marching orders, what to do next, what to say, and how to be in the world. Who knows what the divine self will do once you allow it to be expressed through you? Love your neighbor as yourself means love your neighbor as your divine self would. What would your divine self do? How would it behave toward your neighbor? How or what would it give or not give to someone? How would it speak? Many of you have asked, what would Jesus do? Which is a similar question. When you allow it, your divine self acts spontaneously toward others in ways that benefit the whole. Just as you've allowed your ego to be expressed through you, you can learn to allow your divine self to be expressed by you. Who knows what it will do? You don't know until your divine self acts. There is a you that chooses who or what is in charge, the ego or the divine self. This you is very mysterious, isn't it? This you is the divine self awakening within you. Describing these things is a bit tricky, since language wasn't designed to speak about the mystery, but only further shrouds it. I lived according to the will of my divine self, the will of the Father, not the will of the ego, and you can as well. That is the only difference between you and me. I was no more God than you, or you could say no less God than you, but I had actualized the God force within. Before you've gained some awareness, there seems to be little choice. The ego is in charge because you believe you are the false self. But once the divine self has been actualized or activated to some extent, it can begin to operate more freely in your life. This actualization, this shift from ego to the divine self, is a process that takes time, effort, and conscious choice. It doesn't happen overnight. Spiritual development requires continual vigilance toward the voice in your head. You have to become aware of what it's asking you to believe and choose to not believe that. The ability to be aware and to choose in this way develops by exercising your awareness and choice, just as a muscle is developed by using it. There is no other way. To awaken from the ego, each of you must do this work. Once you are committed to this process, and spiritual forces see this, they come forward to support you. As you develop the connection to your divine self, You draw to you more and more help from those in higher dimensions whose purpose it is to support this process in human beings. These are not your usual guides, but others who specialize in this stage of spiritual development. Be sure to call on them for help whenever you need it. It's a momentous time in one's spiritual evolution when one begins to awaken to the truth and throw off the shackles of the ego. Every soul eventually reaches this important turning point. Many of you are at this point and ready to become who you're meant to become the Christed human being you can be. I need to add that a Christed or enlightened human being today doesn't necessarily look like what you suppose I looked like when I was alive. Yes, I did perform some miracles, mostly for healing and to demonstrate what's possible when you are connected to God or enlightened. This doesn't mean you will also be able to perform similar miracles when you awaken from your ego or become enlightened. I was crucified in part for stirring up an impassioned following, one that threatened the status quo. The miracles contributed greatly to the passion the masses felt toward me, and consequently to my early demise. I knew this would happen, for I knew my destiny beforehand. The awakened or enlightened human being today will not necessarily display such extraordinary gifts, for it would be disruptive to his or her purpose, and therefore counterproductive. The awakened or enlightened human being today will appear quite ordinary and may not attract much attention or have great mass appeal, given the materialistic nature of your world. He or she will be flawed and imperfect, just as I was, although little was written about how human I was, since that would have undermined the Church's narrative that I was the one and only Son of God. It is a myth that I was more holy and perfect than a human being could possibly be. I was a human being, and those who awaken and become enlightened, as I did, are still human beings who will always have an ego and the potential to become identified with it. Awakened and enlightened human beings can still feel angry and deeply sad at times, but they don't feel those feelings for long or act on them in harmful ways. That's the difference. Enlightened human beings still have the capacity to feel emotions, but their emotions don't rule them. Many are awakening today. There may be people close to you who are already awake or awakening, and you may not be aware of it. As a result of awakening and enlightenment, people become more loving and at peace, more easygoing and freer, but that may not be particularly remarkable to those around them. This shift in consciousness, although obvious to the one it's happened to, isn't always obvious to others, because that shift is internal. Spiritual awakening is a shift in one's relationship to the ego, and therefore in one's perceptions of life. The shift in the lens through which one views life will also certainly affect someone's behavior, but as I said, he or she won't necessarily walk on water, or heal the sick, or give inspiring speeches to the masses. If you knew yourself as love, which is the truth, would you have difficulty loving yourself? It's only because you believe the voice in your head's definition of yourself and follow its bad advice that you don't love yourself. This voice is continually telling you that you're lacking, not good enough, in danger, and needing life and others to be other than the way they are before you can be happy. This is why you aren't happy and don't love yourself. That's all, just this voice, which is similar in everyone's head. This voice makes everyone feel discontent, unhappy, and bad about themselves, and it wreaks havoc in relationships. If you listen to this voice and believe it, it will be difficult for you to love yourself and others. This is the nature of the human dis-ease. It starts with the voice in your head, the ego's voice, and all suffering follows from there. Unlike the ego's selfishness and negativity, the divine self has qualities that are easy to love, in you and in everyone else. Goodness, kindness, love, compassion, acceptance, curiosity, a willingness to grow, courage, joy, playfulness, and creativity. These qualities are what is lovable in you and in others, and what makes loving yourself and others possible. When you focus on these qualities, love flows to yourself and others. Here are 2 practices that will help you shift from the ego to love. Spend some time quietly repeating this or something like this. I am love, love, love. The love of God surrounds me and permeates me. I am this love that is God. There is nothing but this love within and without, and nothing can harm this love. I am an embodiment of love. I live for love and express love in all I say and do. Here's another practice that will be very useful and powerful for you, which you can do in meditation as you lie awake in bed, or even while driving or doing other things during your day. Energy is the substratum of life, and this energy is love. It could also be said to be light. Love and light are words for the same thing, but these words evoke different experiences within you. Light helps you see or visualize this energy, and love helps you feel the true nature of this energy. So I will use both of these words now in this practice, because I want you to both see and feel the nature of this energy. The practice is a simple one, and it includes your breath, which will help you stay anchored in your body and in the present moment. So now, as you breathe in slowly and deeply, without straining or trying to control your breath, but breathing in a very relaxed and natural way, imagine that love and light are flowing into your crown chakra, the top of your head, as you say, I am love and light. Breathe in love and light as you slowly inhale and say those words, and imagine that love and light are infusing and recharging every cell of your body. And then, as you exhale slowly, once again say, I am love and light, and imagine that love and light are overflowing and pouring out from every cell of your body into the world. As you do this, your body and your subtle body literally fill with the love and light of the Creator until it overflows to the world. This love and light is healing in every way. It is rejuvenating and will bring you refreshment and connect you with the Source, the Oneness, God, with all that is, and help you be a beacon of love in the world. For what good would it be if you have love and light, and others do not? Love and light will naturally fill you and spill from you to others, simply because you've called upon it to do so. You cannot receive in this way without it affecting the rest of creation. If at first you don't feel the love and light moving through you, no problem. Some people feel this right away, while for others this takes some time to develop. The more you practice this, the better you'll get at experiencing this flow. Practicing this will develop this circuit so that eventually the flow will be experienced instantly as soon as you state, I am love and light. But first, Most of you will have to practice this a while to build this circuit within you. Spending time doing this acknowledges your intention to be love and light in the world. And the more you do this, the more you'll be used in this way. The reason this works is that the love and light of creation is real. When you imagine it moving through you in this way, it does. It moves this way because you have intended that it move this way. You have evoked it. You have commanded it. Usually, you use your mind to imagine things the ego wants or fears. However, the you that is awakening can choose to use your imagination this way instead, to invoke and invite the creative force to flow through you. This is a powerful act. It is your destiny to learn to bring in love and light this way. Everyone in one lifetime or another eventually learns the secret of this simple technique or something similar. People generally learn this from spiritual teachers or masters, those who understand the workings of the universe. You must reach a point in your evolution where you are open to this knowledge. When you begin to cooperate with the forces that are assisting your evolution in this way, by doing such a practice, your evolution can speed up exponentially. Love and light are a gift to you and everyone, but you have to invite love and light to enter your life in this way. So don't let the simplicity of this practice fool you. It will empower you to become the love bearer and light bearer that you're destined to be. Many of you have come to Earth specifically to be that in your own way, and others can benefit from this practice by healing themselves and becoming more of who they're meant to be. You are amazing and beautiful beings, each and every one of you, and I am merely helping you to realize this, to realize your true nature, which is no different than mine. We are the same. We are love. Let us get on with being this love in the world now. Practicing what I have just taught you will advance you quickly to this end. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for being here. I am with you always.